Um, let's get started. Where's Effa? She's chit-chatting. She's not even paying attention to my presentation. Effa. Aoife, I'm going to do something for you, okay? I'm going to give you 650,000 employees to help you with your business, okay? And you're probably thinking, ugh, 650,000 employees. I have to train all them? Like, no way. Like, oh, that's just too overwhelming. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you them, and they are going to be already trained. And a matter of fact, they're going to be your best employees. You're getting excited, right? You're like, I want these 650,000 global employees that are rock stars, right? Like, imagine what you could do with your business, right? Now, guess what? They're free. You're going to have 650,000 global employees that are you're going to be your best employees, and they're free. You're happy. You're excited. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm conquering the world, right? I've got this. You know, stars the limits, right? You're happy, right? That's what I have. Irene, some of you guys have met. She's part of the sisterhood, right? They are the most dedicated, knowledgeable, trusted people in the communities most in need around the world, hands down, right? They are highly educated. They are doctors, lawyers, scientists, therapists. And if they don't know something, like let's say they had a challenge with, let's say, they needed this law in this country, and it's against women, right? So what does a sister do? She goes to law school. She gets her law degree. She fights the government, and she gets the law changed, right? This is the type of people that I'm dealing with. They take a vow of simplicity. You know what that means? When I donate $1 to them or give them $1, guess what? They can make that dollar go really far, right? They're not into anything for themselves. They're just able to spend money wisely. They love without distinction, right? That's a big thing. Like, they don't care. They don't judge people for the situations that they're in and try to, like, teach them why they shouldn't be in that. They just work on helping their needs, okay? They changed my slide to say it twice, which just makes sense. But what it is they love everybody no matter their religion or their race, okay? So there's nobody that they won't help. Even the darkest races. There's a job that we did in South Dakota, and they allowed people that may have been on drugs or they are alcoholics. I mean, they allowed them to come to go ahead and get healed. They didn't judge them for that. They didn't say they couldn't come in the door, lock the doors when they came in and they were maybe high. They just took care of the situation, helped them, and while they were there, gave them some skills to possibly get a job, right? So this is the part of the sisters that we deal with, right? These are the individuals that I'm working with. There are a network of 650,000 of them, right? 650,000 people. They have been serving for over 400 years. Right, Cooper? And in those 400 years, they have a proven track record. They have proven that they are saving lives, right? I mean, is there another organization that has done that for 400 years? What sisters do, which some of you guys didn't know, which I didn't know when I started, was that they go ahead and find the communities that are struggling the most, and they move in. And you guys want to sign up for doing that? Any of you? Right? We kind of like our cozy little house, our comfy little beds, right? These nuns go into the poor areas, and they move in there. And you know why they move in there? Because they're trying to understand what is causing the poverty for these people, right? They're trying to come up with an understanding how to rise these people out of the poverty that they're living in. Because guess what? Poverty, we think about poverty and you're like, well, it's easy, just give them money, let's just, buy them things, right? It's not. Poverty is caused by many different things. Poverty could be caused by lack of education. It could be caused by a war. It could be gender inequality. It could be a lack of job skills training. Like, poverty can be caused by many different things, right? But these sisters are moving in. They're understanding what is happening. Tom's Shoes. Does everybody know who Tom's Shoes is, right? Wow, what a great corporation, right? They're like, hey, they're going to be good corporate stewards, and they're going to go ahead and, hey, when I sell a shoe, I'm going to go ahead and donate another one, right? And you're like, this is fabulous, right? I'm buying Tom's Shoes, right? I'm going to go ahead and do that. Anybody know what the problem was? Huh? Yep. You hit it. What happened was Tom's Shoes was looking from the outside and going ahead and trying to make change, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I saw in this video these people don't have shoes. I'm going to go ahead and donate shoes to them, right? This third world country, we're going to go help them. But what happened to the people that were actually providing the material to make the shoes in that area? What happened to the people that were selling those shoes? They all went out of business. Who is going to buy shoes when Tom's Shoes is bringing truckloads of shoes into their area, right? They were keeping people down. They weren't rising them up because they didn't understand what was happening in that community. Melinda Gates, right? Rock star philanthropist, great person, right? Guess what? She made the same mistakes when she started. She was causing more harm than good, but she didn't realize that. Alight is a company that has partnered with us because they understood. They're like, oh, like I want to make this change in El Salvador. It's a gang-infested area, okay? And they were like, we have to protect these people. Because guess what happens? When there's gang violence in El Salvador and you can't even leave your home and the parents are afraid for their kids, what happens? They migrate, right? They have to leave their homes. They don't want to leave their homes, but they don't know how to help them, right? So Alight reaches out to Sister Irene and says, hey, do you guys have any nuns down there? Sister Irene, as a matter of fact, we do, right? So Alight partners with the nuns that are down there. And what they do is they build this safe community, okay? So now the kids can go there freely. You know why, too? Because the nuns have given them shirts that say the Color Movement. That was the name of the project. So the Color Movement shirts save them from gangs. Because first of all, let's back up. A gang member, not going to touch a sister. That's holy secret. They're not going to mess with a sister. They know that's voodoo. And guess what? When the kids are wearing those shirts, guess what? They're not going to be touched either because the gang members are not going to mess with a nun. They just know better. So what happened is the nuns were able to build this safe community. The kids were able to go there. The families were able. They were then making picnic baskets and having picnics. They were safe, right? So they now had hope, right? They took a very dark place where they felt very scared, and it was not even much money to go ahead and help them. Maria Shriver did too. She wrote in her book that I read, and she's like, if you want to make a difference in the world, you partner with the sisters. They are the ones that understand what's happening. The other thing with the nuns, there's no political agenda. There's no hidden agenda. Like, they take an oath to serve those in need, right? They don't have any other alternative. And the best thing, 80% of the work that the sisters do are addressing human trafficking. They are protecting the most vulnerable people from being trafficked. I mean, kids could be going to get water, fetching water. And guess what? They send the girls, not the boys, because the boys are going to educate, and the girls don't have to be educated. So the girls are going to go fetch the water. And the traffickers know that, and they're kidnapping, right? So there's all these things that are going on, but 80% is protecting the most vulnerable. And they are the most critical people. And when they get trafficked, they are coming to the States. All right, so all that great stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about human trafficking. It is a $150 billion industry. They are larger than Starbucks and Nike combined. These are iconic companies in the country, right? They're huge. And human trafficking is bigger than those two combined. It's just crazy, right? People are making tons of money in this industry. You'll hear a lot about modern-day slavery. 50 million people. And that includes arranged marriages and things like that. But at any single moment, there are 24.7 people that are being sex trafficked or labor trafficked at any time. Human trafficking, we are not oblivious. We're like, oh, I live in this gated community. Like, we're safe. We're not. Human trafficking is happening in every single zip code in the United States. And I didn't say states. I didn't say it's happening in every state. It's happening in every single zip code. So recently here, I was working on a presentation for Starbucks. I'm like, hey, Starbucks, you need to be good, corporate citizens. You got to work with human trafficking, and because it's happening in the coffee shops. So I'm writing working on this presentation. My architect had come over, and he had said, what are you working on? I'm like, oh, I'm just working on a pitch to Starbucks. And he's like, oh. He sits down to tell me. Now, I worked with him for 2 years, and I didn't know this. His daughter, right here, right around on this lake, went to the movies at 10 o'clock at night with two of her girlfriends. And nobody was in the theater. It's a late night, and it was like a chick flick, so not a lot of people were there. And all of a sudden, somebody comes into the movie theater with a baseball cap on. And the daughter's like, oh, this is kind of weird, right? It's a chick flick. It's 10 o'clock at night, and he's coming by himself. All of a sudden, that guy leaves. Two other men come in, looking very similar to that guy. And she's like, her radar goes up, like something's not right. And all of a sudden, the guy with the hat appears kind of by the entrance of where they got into the movie theater. And he says, tase those bitches. Right? Here in our neighborhood. The girls duck down, right? And they're like, the two other girls are like panicking. And his daughter was just like, you know what? We have to think about it, right? What they did is the guys were coming up one way. They escaped the other way, went out the emergency exit, right? What was on the other side of that emergency exit door? A car with the door open. They're going to tase him and drag him into this car. So they run past this car, and they go to the shop next door, and they call 911, right? It's happening everywhere. We are not immune to it. And this is what I was saying. It is everybody's responsibility to take care of this. It's all of our responsibility to help with this issue. Because only 1% of the people trafficked are ever saved or ever rescued, right? 1%. We got 24.7 and people, 1% is saved. The numbers are just, it's hard to even say. The other thing, too, that's important about the sisters' work is prevention of human trafficking. So stopping people from getting trafficked is a lot cheaper than victim assistance, right? When somebody is trafficked and then you're trying to rebuild, you have to rebuild the self-esteem and everything. It is so hard, and it takes time, and it's kind of like AA, right? They will fall, they will crash, they will make mistakes, and then you have to continue to rebuild them, right? But if we can prevent them being trafficked, it is a lot cheaper. So, I tell you a lot about the sisters and everything like that, but what is Sisters Rising Worldwide, right? Well, I'll tell you a little journey about me, because I'm not going to go over on my time. And that was right. I was in sales for a long time. Don and I were in the same industry. So after a while, I was kind of getting a little, conflicting. I'm like, hey, why didn't your people do this, right? He's just like, why are you acting like this, right? So, and I had this large sale, and I'm like, I'm just going to stay back. I had raised 3 boys. I was a single mom for a long time. And I kind of just like, I want to spend the last 3 years before they go off to college with them and to spend some time. Now, they probably weren't happy about that because I was kind of workaholic, so instead of spreadsheets for work, I was like spreadsheets on them. Hey, what college do you want to go to? Hey, let's do all this research. I had charged for everything, right? They were like, oh, Mom, go back to work, right? I'm done with this. But with my 3 boys, we had always done a ton of charity work. I dragged those 3 boys everywhere. On December 23rd, we would make cookies, and on December 24th, we would deliver them in Naperville to the local nursing homes, right? And they were so cute, the people at the reception desk. They're like, oh, that's so nice of you. You can just leave them here. And I'm like, oh, no. These cookies, I deliver. We hand deliver them. I dragged those 3 little boys, and all those grandmas and grandpas, they're squeezing their cheeks. But it made a difference. It's holidays, and nobody's visiting them, right? So we were making a difference. The boys and I went to Guatemala, and we worked at this temporary home, kind of like an orphanage, but it was great. Like, they had such great experience, and we were able to help it. Because guess what? Little boys, they don't volunteer. People don't see, the kids don't see them. So now I have all these little boys. They're soccer players, and they played soccer down in Guatemala, so they're playing in, lucky I had Leo. Leo will talk to anybody, so he just kind of goes into the circle of the kids. I'm like, hey, I'm Leo, right? And, they said they spoke a little bit of Spanish, and they were able to make a difference. We went to Costa Rica, and we worked at an organic coffee farm, and we picked coffee beans, right? One holiday, we worked with Wounded Warriors, and I called the lady that we've been helping, and I said, hey, do you know anybody in need? And she gives me a couple names, and we helped one family who had 3 boys and just had problems with ends meet, so it's like Costco shop, right? Loaded up my van with everything that I buy from Costco. And we just dropped it off in their living room. And then we helped another Vietnam vet, and his wife was diagnosed with cancer again, and he was on disability. And we go to their house is just a mess. So we go in, we clean it up, we take all the debris out of the backyard, and we, take it away. We fix doors, windows, and stuff like that. So I knew, I'm just passionate about it. It's just who I am. And I was just like, when I stopped working and I wanted to get back in the workforce, I'm like, I want it to be for something for good. I was asked to go to Minnesota for one weekend to help Sister Irene with her vision. And my other sister was with me, and my other sister, she's brilliant. She was going to go ahead and conceptually put this computer system together to help Sister Irene, meet her vision. And I was there just to kind of understand everything that my sister was putting together and go ahead and, present it a month later. Well, man, I was hooked. Those nuns, man, I was working with them for a month, and they're fun, they're loving, they're contagious. Like, you want to be around them because they're so happy. Can you imagine working with somebody that is always happy? And they're always going to bring joy to your life. You want to partner with them, right? You want to be with them. That's what I was dealing with. So this is the technology piece. It took us 3 years to raise the money and build this. And this is what we give to sisters. What it says is it connects people. So what was happening, and the reason why Irene had this vision is that the sisters are siloed. So they had conflicts because of language barriers, but like the sisters of Notre Dame didn't talk to the sisters of St. Joseph's or the sisters of Benedictine. And she's like, how do we connect them? Because sometimes they can be in your own neighborhood and you don't even know that they're there, right? So this technology goes ahead and brings the sisters together. And it also, so it gives them a way, there's a chat room and they can chat to each other and it translates. So if I type in English to somebody in Spanish, it goes to them in Spanish, comes back to me in English, right? So it's a great way to do that. The other thing too is that you can talk about programs. They can tell me what's going on in their area. And in the Northern Hemisphere, the number of sisters are on the decline, right? So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, we got to capture all these stories. Because if we don't, the social injustices are going to go backwards because they do so much work and nobody knows about it. So we needed the central database of this information, right? And then when they tell us what's going on in their community, they can go ahead and ask for funding. Filling out our sheet is a lot better. If you've ever filled out a grant request, those are just a nightmare. This is a lot easier way for them to go ahead and tell us what their need is, right? Why this is so important too is, can anybody tell me, and if you know the answer, because I've already told you you're not allowed to answer, what is the percentage of money from the Catholic Church that goes to the sisters? 0. The Catholic Church, write this down, people, important note. The Catholic Church does not give any money to the sisters. So, if you think about it, my husband just told me I couldn't say this in my TED Talk, but I'm going to say it anyways. The church is like the male hierarchy of the Catholic religion. And it's the sisters that are out there actually doing God's work. And there is no support for them through the Catholic Church. The sisters can make a dollar stretch really hard. And so I talked to one nun out in Wisconsin, and she says, I've just got a lot of boyfriends. So it was kind of cute. Anyways, they also too, when there's a crisis, when Ukraine hit, Irene, hey, we got to connect all those sisters out there. We need to figure out what's going on and how we can support it. And we supported one sister that was going to the border. She was from Poland. She was going to the border 9 times a day. And we were funding them, giving them money so she could buy food and supplies to go back there every time. So we built a bomb shelter in one of the sisters' schools. We are now sending money right now to a water heater for a convent that houses 100 people, and then all the poor people in the area that don't have water, they go there too. So we're doing crises. There's floodings that need emergency money. So we'll do things like that. But a lot of it is a funding campaign that is only addressing the root cause of the problem in the community. So guess what? When a nun sometimes asks me for something and it doesn't address the root cause, I got to tell her no. Sorry, I can't feed those starving children, because I would just have to continue to keep giving them food and food and food. In one area in Nigeria, there was a militia that came and killed all the farmers. So the women and the kids go into the city. And they're just like, after a while, they're like, we need to go back. Our community is starving. We have no farmers, right? The kids were like, I'm going to go back to the farm, and I'm going to go ahead and start farming again. And the nun's like, ooh, you can't do that. No, it's too dangerous. You can't go. Some went, never came back. But what she did do is the nun there we partnered her with somebody up in Minnesota, and she learned to vertical garden. So now these kids are growing gardens on the side of the building, and they're able to go ahead and feed their community and sell it at the market, and they're able to raise money. They're able to make money. There was in Venezuela, when we wouldn't give her money for food, we did partner her up with a sister out in Nigeria and taught her how to vertical garden, right? Because we want systemic change, right? We want to make a difference in the world. We just don't want to do a handout with nothing expected afterwards. So this is our platform, and it's pretty darn effective. The nuns also, too, it's like when they work in really remote areas, and they're kind of by themselves, right? So then they're just like, oh, my gosh, like, I'm doing this little work out here in the Philippines, but I see all the work of all the nuns around. So they're like, I feel a part of a community, right? And they're like, this technology is like, it's like, first they're like, this is too good to be true. Like, this really can't happen. I can just fill this out, and you're going to help me. And we're like, yeah, we're going to help you. And they are astonished, and they are so grateful. So I want the Ramitos. Stand up. Oh, look at you. You're on the spot, aren't you? You're like, oh, what did we do? Let's give a round of applause. They are going to save 21 people, or break the cycle of poverty for 21 people. Let's give them a round of applause. So you're saving lives. Are you guys doctors? No. This is George. George got a solar light. The Ramitos actually bought 3 solar lights at the end of last year that we'll be delivering this year. This one solar light saved his life, saved his family's life, and broke his family out of a life of poverty. What happens is they go ahead and spend a lot of money on batteries just to have light. So now they have a solar light. So what happens is, gets a solar light, charges it all up, and the box that the solar light came in has a slit in it. So he learns, he gets the light, and he gets some financial literacy training, right? Because it's so important, right? You're getting all this now extra money, because a third of their income goes to batteries. Now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got a third of my income. What am I going to do with it, right? And they don't know how to do it. But when you get the training, he understood that I can save all this money that I was spending on batteries, and then he opens up the box. He's like, oh my God, I have enough money to buy a pig. I'm going to buy a pig. So he buys this pig, raises the pig, and he's like, ooh, if I sell my pig, I can get eggs and raise chickens. So he sells his pig for a profit, and he buys 60 eggs. He incubates them, and he gets 58 chicks. So within a year, this was January 2021, true story. January 2022, he was getting 30 eggs a day that he could sell. 30 eggs a day. So guess what? He now has the money to go ahead and send his kids to school, right? He has enough money. He actually does a lot. Then he sold all the chickens for a huge profit. Then he buys more pigs and more chickens, and he does this whole cycle again, right? So one solar light for $50 saved his family of 7. $50. That's all it took. So thank you very much. I got to get my glasses on. All right. When you work with the sisters, it's really amazing. You get great stories and great appreciation. So I'm going to read a couple of them. Greetings from Nigeria. It is my pleasure to say Happy New Year to you and all those working very hard so all may flourish. I wish also to let you know that the school building construction has commenced this January. Your funding has been a source of joy to all who saw the ongoing work. The students are radiating with joy and when they came back from holiday break and saw the ongoing work. Thank you for making a difference in their life. So, 370 people kids she's helping. Hi, everyone. It's been a great pleasure to work with Sisters Rising Worldwide over the past years. With their support, I can provide hope to the most disadvantaged children and women in the region. Assam, the country where she lives, has a unique high rate of human trafficking. The people live on minimum daily wages and are unable to educate their children. Thus, they continue in the spiral of poverty, illiteracy, and unemployment. Traffickers come often and promise good job opportunities and married life. Thus, they gain the trust of the vulnerable people who become prey to human trafficking and exploitation. With SRW support, we have built resilience in the community in 4 critical ways. Awareness, to better understand the signs, risks, and realities of human trafficking. Vigilance committees to make sure that only safe migration is taking place in the village. Livelihood programs, which is job skills training. And education, and not only actual schooling, but providing the support for children to pass and stay in school. So as they're learning, they're also getting some therapy to help them, forget about all the issues that they're having at home, but really to incorporate everything that they're learning. I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to Sisters Rising Worldwide donors for the support over the past few years and all those who see and believe in us in the front line. My sincere gratitude to SRW team for all your support, encouragement, and trust in us in bringing light to the dark part of our region. This is what I do. This was all this year. Creating impact is a critical thing that we do, and it's good for us, right? We're improving lives, we're strengthening communities, we're addressing social issues that can really change the trajectory of the world. When you are giving too, you're setting a great example for other people to give. Not only other people, but corporations. Corporations are going to take a step back and say, hey, listen, how am I being socially responsible? What am I doing to make a difference, right? And when you are making impact, you're going to go ahead and build a better future for our children, right? We want the world to be a better place for them. But what is it for you guys, right? What does it do for us? I'm telling you, I am the happiest person, most fulfilled person I've ever been. I mean, I was great at sales, and I got a lot of rewards. I mean, they're all in the garbage now because I don't really care about those things. But I was really successful. I had a great career, but it wasn't fulfilling. This is what fulfills me. And I'll tell you, too, this house, it's lovely. I'm very blessed to live in this house. But guess what? You can take this house away from me, and I'm still going to be fulfilled. I'm still going to be happy. My husband's not going to be happy because he doesn't want to give up his office. But I'm okay. I would miss the heated toilet seat. But it doesn't matter. It's fulfilling ourselves and our soul, right? That's what we want. That's what we're living. Like, we all talk about making more money, and I'm going to make the next million. And that's great. That's ambitious, right? But what's going to fulfill you, right? And that is what I'm getting blessed every day. It's better for our health, right? Giving back is better for your health. Better for your self-esteem. And how many people are struggling with self-esteem nowadays? There's a lot of people out there. Mental health is a big issue. It is human nature to feel significant and contribute. It is in us to do these things, right? I didn't put you to sleep. Okay, just checking. All right. When you are giving, I'm just kidding. You feel part of a community. You feel connected. Like right now with social media, so many people feel unconnected with people, right? When you're giving back, you feel a part of something. You feel like you, with other people, are making a difference in the world. It fosters empathy, right? We understand. And then our problems, they don't feel so bad, right? When you're dealing and helping other people that are really in need. People that give, they live longer. I think the average age of a nun is 150. They live forever. Irene's going to be around a lot longer than I am. All right, people? But I'll leave you with this at the end. What do you want on your tombstone? What do you want it to say? That I made $10 million. I was the best I was the GOAT in football, right? I want mine to say something different, right? I want to say, like, she gave her all, right? Making a difference was important. But so we should think about, like, what do you want your tagline to be, right? So, Irene, I've got 2 minutes left, and I was hoping to give you more, but I just kept talking. Do you want to say any few words? Because, she's really the rock star in the room.
Is she incredible? I'm really the global connector to anybody who wants to make the world better, heal it, make it flourish. That's what I do. Do you all remember when you were kids and the teacher or your scout leader or something said, now partner up with somebody and make sure that you're both going to get on the bus or make sure that you get out of the swimming pool? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. That is the vision. The vision is that everybody if everybody helps, everybody is helped. And so with Sisters Rising Worldwide, there's a lot, it's a huge network. And anybody who joins it makes the network just huger and safer for the world. And we can heal it. We can heal the world, and we can make it better, and we can change the trajectory of people feeling depressed and awful about what's happening, because really there's more good happening than bad. And it really is thrilling to work and to hear the stories, letters coming in constantly. I wish there was a way to figure out email that way, but anyway, of gratitude and thanking. So anybody who connects with Sisters Rising Worldwide literally is connecting to the people on the ground around the world. So thank you. Time. Oh, and I still have 13 seconds.
Keep going.
I hate to waste a moment. Anybody have any questions?
I was just gonna say, any questions? Right here.
Oh, yes.
That's not a question, I'm just amazed that this is 400 years old? Is that?
It's just,
I'm just about that old.
Well, you look amazing.
We never die. We age backward. That's kind of weird. Actually, sisters were first around in the year 1000. And you've heard of monasteries or cloisters or something. It's not. They were people, oftentimes women, widows, and people who went there was safe place to be and stuff. But by the year 1600, the women were starting around the world to say, somebody has got to do something. The men are getting themselves killed at war. We have to prostitute ourselves to save our children, to feed our children. And as a matter of fact, I'm just going to tell you this one little story because nobody knows this one. You know how the nuns wear the habits? They used to wear this black and white stuff? Okay. Well, in the 1600s, when they started to say, we got to go out on the streets, we have to help people in their homes. Well, they were seeing a woman who went into somebody's home unescorted was seen as a prostitute. Well, so that was a bad gig, so they had to figure out what to do. But they realized in those days that if they dressed like the widow, that they could go anywhere they wanted. And that is the habit. That's where it came from. They were disguised. And the weird thing is they wore that disguise for 300 years. So I don't get that. I don't get that piece. I joined, it was already gone. But in some countries, like you saw one of the nations there that makes them safe. It's a way that they can stand out in their particular country. But otherwise, that's what it was. So now the nuns just blend in. So I always say if you put your hands out about like this, you'll bump into one. No fair here because I'm right with you all the time. But anywhere you go just about, you're bumping into one and you don't know it. And the nuns don't care to tell you because they're just like, maybe you know when they pass by or something. Who knows? I don't know. But it's not. The point is that you ask a nun, what did you do today? They'll put the microphone by the person that was helped and tell about your life. So it's not, that's the interest, and then they just move on to something else. So that's why it's kind of invisible. I don't know. Is that good enough?
You were the hippest nun I've ever seen, and if I knew nuns to be that hip, I would have understood how to support them more. I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
what can we in this room do today to get involved or take action?
There are a few slides too early, Steph.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I it's different. Like, I have the capability of working full-time for Sisters Rising Worldwide. A lot of people aren't going to work full-time for 6 years now for free to do this, right? But everybody has a little part, and it depends on everybody's background, right? Some can donate, some can host parties, some can connect people to different everything. There's a whole wide variety of things that people can do.
Yeah, spread the word is the easiest, right? Giving funds is the next easiest. I don't know if that's the next easiest, but I think of that as easy, And you could get kids to give $5 and say, do you know that this will really make a difference? If you really want to help, that's a way. So everybody can participate. But really, having parties at your house or something where you and we travel, we will go someplace if you want to have a nun in a group, or Kelly, who's really just as good, right? Better even. Anyway, you can we need to spread the word. We have to get it out. Sisters Rising Worldwide itself is only about 6 years old. That's all, and it's just been flourishing. Our budget's been about $1 million. We give 91% last year out to where it's supposed to go, and it's imagine, I keep thinking of it as $1 million. Imagine what $25 million someday would look like. What would that? Think of the world. What could happen? I don't even know how many programs we've been helping. So, but it's possible. It's finite. That's what I want to say. The solutions are finite. Yes.
I have knew what, as soon as they saw that orange container, they knew what that meant. We have geniuses in this room, like, I don't know.
What ideas you got?
I'll be on the committee, but I think we could really create something amazing like that.
That would be so amazing. Yes.
Do we have any, maybe this is a question for Alexa, but do we have any idea how much is gonna be donated from this event?
Pretty much almost all of it. We have very little expenses, so I would have to have COO Deb, wherever she is, do the numbers, but I mean, I think we maybe spent a couple grand, the rest, so I think, we're at like 64,000 right now, something, and then minus a couple grand of expenses, so.
It's great.
Thank you.